we have our next presenter. We have 3 more paper presentations left. So, Sudarshan Prabhu. So, worked in the software industry in India and abroad for many years, including running his own technology product. After his exit from that business, he completed his MA in Sanskrit. His present work is in archaeoastronomy. He is presently pursuing PhD under Professor Iyengar, sir.
Namaste. Thank you for the opportunity. This is part of my PhD work, and there is something that I would like to share. When we look at records of comet observations, see, comets come and go. Nowadays they are very rare, but they do come. We do see comets in our lifetime. But are there records of this in the historical period? Incidentally, there are not many records. And however, we do come across records of a series of 26 comets from a very ancient period, which we can call as the Vedanga period. And this information comes to us from a few sources. One, Brihat Samhita has fragmentary information of these 26 comets. The Utpala, Brihat Samhita's commentator, quotes ancient records of these 26 comets. Then there is a 12th century Adbhuta Sagara by Ballala Sena. And we also have surviving manuscripts of Vriddha Garga, which also have the records of these 26 comets. Now, the words that is used for comets in these texts is Ketu. And we know today, Indian languages use the word dhūmaketu for comets. And incidentally, dhūmaketu is seen in Sanskrit literature as recent as in Gita Govinda. Dhūmaketu reva kimapi karalam. So, these texts also also mention names of comets as Tvashta, Trishiras, Vibhavasu, Ka, Vishwarupa, Taskara. And incidentally, these names are common with Vedic deities also. That gives us that makes us curious. Are comets there in Vedas? Now, do we have the word Ketu? Yes, there are a lot of instances of the word Ketu, for example, in the Ṛgveda. And then there is 7 instances of the word dhūmaketu across the mantras. And however, in our tradition, the traditional understanding attributed to these words is that it is Agni. For example, in Sāyaṇa Bhashyas. And Sāyaṇa specifically states that he takes the adhiyajña view, which is the yajñika view in interpreting these words. Further, there was an investigation by Professor Iyengar. Before that, Yāska in his commentary on the Ṛgveda, applies 3 different viewpoints in interpreting mantras, right? So he takes adhiyajña, which is the yajñik view. He also takes in one of the mantras adhidaivata view. And when he uses the word adhidaivata, he means celestial, okay? Divisam sthitam daivatam. That which is situated in the space, in the sky, is daivatam. And in that view, he explains the word Soma. This particular investigation attempts to apply that methodology to understand the 7 instances of the word dhūmaketu and maruts. There are a lot of suktas in Ṛgveda which deal with marut, for which maruts are deities. And nowadays it is commonly taken as storm gods. But, looks like it is not so. Here is an example. There is a Sūkta 1.27 in the Ṛgveda. There are a few phrases that I have taken from there. Ashvannatva varavantam vandadhya agnim namobhihi. Similarly, Sanomahan animano dhūmaketu purushchandraha. And then Vishpatir daivyaha, he is in the sky. And then Uktair agnir bruhadbhanuhu, he has a wide motion. And Sāyaṇa, these meanings are actually coming to us from tradition. And there is a Ashvannatva Varavantam is a tailed horse. And it says Daivyaha, he is in the sky. The picture that we get from this a tailed horse moving with a wide motion in the sky and changing colors and big and bright. And it also uses the word animano. It cannot be measured. And all these things, and more mantras are investigated in this particular work, and ultimately concludes that with the adhidaivata interpretation, understanding, that the word dhūmaketu refers to transient celestial objects, probably comets, and in some cases even meteors. With that, I would like to share what I have come here for. There are 2 suktas called Aśva Sūktas in the Ṛgveda. Here today I will show you about one sukta, which is in the first mandala, 163rd. Besides this, there are a lot of other suktas where the word Aśva is used, the word CAHC is used. Incidentally, CAHC means a person who has hair. And the word comet, which is from the Yavana Greek word kometon, which actually means a haired body, right? So there is those imageries need to be investigated yet. Coming to this 1.163, which is part of the two suktas, which is referred to in the Ashwamedha Yaga. And here is an example from Ashvalayana Shrauta Sutra, where this particular sukta is referred to for the yaga, which is used in the middle of the Ashwamedha Yaga, etc. Now the Ṛgveda in the first mandala has 24 suktas, and this sukta happens to be in the middle of that. These 24 suktas are from the Rishi Dirghatamaha. He is a son of Auchathya. Now these suktas are very, very famous for being riddle-like and with multiple deep meanings. A lot of authors, modern and medieval, have worked on these suktas, and they're very popular of that. This belongs to that collection. Now coming to what is there in the sukta, there are 13 mantras. Now today we understand Ashwamedha Yaga as a horse sacrifice ritual conducted by Ritviks on the earth. That is how we understand it. And after this, after the horse is, it is let out for a year, it comes back, and then it is sacrificed. It is cut. It is the vapa is put in the fire. The horse after that is supposed to fly to the devatas. That's how we understand it today. Sāyaṇa says the horse flies down to the ground. While he says that, the mantra says, patayantam patangam. So, avo diva patayantam patangam. Sāyaṇa himself says that the primary meaning actually is the horse coming down to the ground from the sky. That is how he says. But the yajñika meaning is where the horse goes up to the earth. And if you take the mantra, the literal meaning makes sense. Sāyaṇa is talking about the literal meaning of the mantra. Then the other interesting part about this sukta is, the sukta is actually in the first person with the word apashyam used repeatedly by the mantra drashta, by the rishi. Apashyam actually means, I saw this in the sky. That is how the sukta is worded. And what is the rishi or the sukta has seen? It talks of a celestial Aśva, in the sky, divi, moving, very fast, and it is very bright, and it is flying down to the earth. And also it says, Shiro apashyam pathibhi. So it says, I first saw the head of the object. The head is visible. And the other interesting thing is, it also gives a simile of this object, this Aśva, has wings of a falcon in the sky and the legs of a deer with hoofs of metal. The bottom has some metal imagery, and very interesting to investigate why this would sound like this. There is one mantra in this sukta which talks Aśva in plural, Aśva. It refers to it indirectly. Where it says these Aśvas are flying in formation similar to swans. And we know today birds actually fly in a formation with one bird in the front and the others following it behind. So in the adhidaivata perspective, if you place this in the sky, if you understand the sukta from being in the sky, looks like gods did a sacrifice of the horse in the sky, a replica of which men are doing it on the earth. Now further, I want to just zoom in to actual Sāyaṇa Bhashya, fragments of Sāyaṇa Bhashya. In the mantra 6, Atmanante Manasa Jatam. So in that, there is a phrase, Avo Diva Patayantam Patangam, that I mentioned earlier. And Sāyaṇa says, Avaha Avastat Samarthyat Bhumehe Bhumirarabhya Diva Antarikshena Margena Patangam Adityam Gachantam. He says this. This is the yajñika interpretation. Yadva, he says, this is the literal interpretation. This is Diva Antarikshena Margena Diviva Patayantam Gachantam Patangam Adityam Avaha Vyapnoshi. Vyapnoshi, because it's in the, he's addressing the Aśva. So, Sāyaṇa himself gives both these meanings. In mantra 7, there is a phrase, bhashya of this phrase I want to show you. It says, Atrate, here I behold, Rupam, your form, Uttamam apashyam. I see your form high above. Okay, Uttamam actually has both meanings. The literal meaning is high above. The idiomatic meaning is best. And Sāyaṇa, takes the idiomatic meaning here. Ukta rupena utkrishtatamam rupam. Utkrishtam also means exalted, very high. And in this mantra, when the Rishi is talking about apashyam, apashyam, I saw you high in the sky, he says, A pade goho. A is asamantat, pade goho, at the cow's foot. And Sāyaṇa, because he takes the yajña meaning, he says, probably, what he says is, Gauhu, he says, bhumehe, and pade, he says, sthane, in the earth, or devasthane, in a temple, or deva yajana pradeshe, where the actual Ashwamedha is being conducted. And interestingly, aji dhavanasthane, in the horse race. Maybe it's in the horse place, because horse is running very fast. So he aji dhavanasthane. So that is the yajñika meaning. Contrast that with the literal meaning, apade goho, at the cow's foot. And when I'm looking at the sky, what could be the cow's foot? In the Vedic, Bhadrapada in Vedas is actually proshtapada. It is actually the cow's foot. So one possibility is this could be, this particular object that we have now seeing it as a celestial object could have been seen at the proshtapada nakshatra. And another mantra, Tava Shrungani, your horns, uses the word horns in the Shrungani means more than 3, right? A lot of many horns is what it means. Tava Shrungani, Vishtita Purutranyeshu Jarbhurana Charanti, where Sāyaṇa says, it's very picturesque, he says, Shrungani is nothing but Shiraso Nirgataha Shrungasthaniyaha Keshaha. It can't be horns. How can horses have horns? So Sāyaṇa says, it could be the mane of the horse, flying. So, Shrungasthaniya Keshaha Athava Atra Ashvasya Shrungabhavat Tadvad Unnatani Tejamsi Parigrimhyante. Sāyaṇa himself says it could probably be the rays, the radiance coming out of the horse. Now again, this makes a very picturesque equivalence, literal equivalence for something in the sky. So literally, in the adhiyajña, while this concerns humans are replicating a celestial yajña on the ground, then in the celestially, horses is flying down from the sky, and it's high above in the sky in the Proshtapada constellation, and the words Vishtita Purutrani Yeshu Jarbhurana Charanti. So the Jarbhurana is a word that is often seen in the Ṛgveda when it's describing maruts, and we have said earlier maruts are meteors, and Jarbhurana are basically the flickering light emanating out of this. So even that equivalence is seen here. In conclusion, even though the tradition does not provide adhidaivata paksha for the Aśva Sūkta, it can still be interpreted as a phenomenon in the sky, as a adhidaivatam. And the celestial phenomenon, which refers to a birth of a horse in the sky that was sacrificed by the Devas, and these descriptions match a moving celestial object, which could be a comet that came down. See, comets come down. When it gets attracted to the gravitational pull of the earth, it will fragment. When it fragments, it will come down. They are meteors. Meteors, if it is metallic or stony, they may even reach the earth. And so therefore, in conclusion, adhidaivata interpretation is possible for Ashwamedha Yaga. So it's not just the view of the Yaga that we know today, where something is conducted on the ground for appearing some kamya. It is something that happened in the sky, a cometary impact or a cometary fragmentation, and then a meteor fall could be. That has been, that the devas which conducted that yaga is being replicated on the earth as the Ashwamedha yaga. So this needs to be further work.
Ashwamedha yaga has a particular context and interpretation when it's conducted on the earth.
Yes.
Somebody establishing
yes.
Chakravarti.
Yes. That is correct.
So is there
and then you do it, and it is for a duration of 1 year. So there is a samvatsara. Is it to measure the samvatsara, or is samvatsara measured in order to conduct the yaga, is a subject of investigation. But it is done on a Phalguna Masa, ends again back on a Phalguna Masa. In Chaitra, it goes for the Atanam, all that is there.
All that comes in this Sūkta or no?
The Sūkta is very, so there are two Sūktas, Aśva Sūkta that is employed for the Ashwamedha yaga. But this is only in the Ṛgveda, which we are primarily looking at it because it's considered the older part. The Yajurveda has a lot of detail of this, and the Brahmanas, and of course the Śrauta Sūkta. So there is a lot of detail, so the of actual yaga implementation is all there. And this also incidentally matches some of the understanding of Itihasa and Purana. So there is a different topic which describe from the devatas involved in the Ashwamedha yaga, the Aśva, who is Aśva, how he has come from Varuna, and how Yama has come, and why therefore, what is the equivalence of the understanding here. So there is a lot more match.
Ashwamedham Gavalambam, it is Nishedam in Kali Yuga, so then the astronomical interpretation in that sense perhaps becomes difficult.
And it's also very gory. So I don't know if the Nisheda is because of that. In Kali Yuga, Mamsa Bhakshanam Nishedham. So a lot of that could be there, I don't know.
Ashwamedham Gavalambam, Sanyasam Palapaitrukam,
Yes.
So here I see Hamsaiva Shrenisho Yatanaha Shrenisho Yatante Hirakshishuho Divyam Ajvam Ashvaha.
Yes.
It seems the series of meteor showers here rather than one comet.
That is correct. So very good observation. If you see the mantra,
so he is rather than addressing all the 100 meteors, he is addressing one thing that fell near to him,
so
like bomb falling on the Afghanistan.
So
because Patayantam,
that is an ekavachanam. Patayantam Patayantam is an ekavachanam.
No, that's what I am saying. One very big meteor has fallen down near his ashrama, Dirgatamas, and other things are falling around him, and it seems rather than...
So the 10th shloka that you quoted from, that particular shloka is actually talking of it in Bahuvachana.
Yes.
And that is a question, why is that so? Incidentally, there is an earlier shloka which says, Vrata tava sakhyānuvīyuru. The Vratas are trying to befriend you. Who are the Vratas?
These are the small meteors.
So the word Vrata incidentally is used in the Ṛgveda, where in the Sūktas, of course it is used in two kinds of places. Two incidences of Vrata is used as Gana, Jana. Okay, Pancha Vrata. So these are the group of people who accompany others. Vrata is more often used in meteoric Marut Sūktas.
That's what I am saying.
Where the meteors are coming together, all these form meteors where nobody is big, nobody is small, all are equal, they are all flying together like a chakra. In all those instances, Vrata is used. So it looks like the same word is used here. Hey Aśva, the Vratas are behind you. So te, ahatya, samhatya, hamsa iva shrenisho yatante could be the understanding. This is something that I have not concluded, but that could be the understanding is what I am thinking. Otherwise, why suddenly Bahuvachana?
And I suppose this has nothing to do with the actual Ashwamedha performance. That is totally different. Because one comet or meteor falling down on the earth and we are sending the horse to the Swarga, it has no relation. So the same mantra may have two different meanings. One is related to the horse and another with bhuta meaning.
Adhidaivata.
Adhibhuta because it is falling near to us.
Okay.
Maybe that.
That is possible. That is one view. Incidentally, like I said earlier, Aśva is mentioned all over the Ṛgveda. All that has to be investigated, and the story of a comet being broken by Tvashta. So even here, Tvashta is in charge. I didn't go into all the details. The mantras actually talk about it. In the previous sukta, Tvashta actually cuts it and breaks it. And Tvashta, we know that is also the divine carpenter. He cuts things, cuts wood. So he chops this, and then it falls down. And so even in our own Vāṅmaya, Vaidika Vāṅmaya and the Purana, there is a lot more to be investigated just about Ashwamedha itself, even as a celestial view. So there is probably it's not just one meteor fell. There is a very big story. This is just one peg in that big story is what I am thinking as of now. Because your Skandotpatti might be associated with this.
Yes, he has pointed out there are so many Kuroshu, Machati Hateshu, Kuroshu, Antikyasa, etc. So many things they point out.
And whenever they talk of Rudra, it is always about scared. Mama Higumsihi. Because these Maruts are Rudra Sunava. So it was very big and important for people, looks like.
I just want to, because he's taking my name, I think I should respond. As a Pandit is referring to me. Yeah, you are right, sir, what you said. Kurukshetre Deva Satra Masata. There is a mantra in the Maitrayani Samhita. And what Satra they did? Devas in the Kurukshetra. And for them, Maravaha Utkara Asi. That is the Marubhumi, which is in the west, was the Utkara. And then Tugnam Uttaravedi Rasi. Then like that it comes. So it was a cosmic yajña with as a satra, maybe 1 year or less than that, which is the Devas did. And precisely the same thing as a disaster in Kurukshetra by the falling of Chalaketu, a meteorite associated with a comet, is described in the Parashara Tantra as well as in the Vridagargiya Jyotisha, where it says 1/3 of the population was decimated. That means it was a yajña, it was a sacrifice of which the Devas did on the earth. It's a comparison between the two. I don't know, it could be a possibility. That may be connected with even the Saraswati river and Bronze Age civilization getting decimated, variety of things it may be possible.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Actually, there is a Professor Cremo who is working on ancient archaeology and such other things. He would be the right person to respond to such questions, which might have happened in a very ancient time.
So indeed, he has been a very ardent listener to all of the presentations all throughout the conference.